And yet nobody asks, what was the Silicon before it was in Fragments?
All right, welcome to another installment of the Fragments of Silicon Daylight interviews. It looks like we are back up to at least nominal running capacity, and that is to say, Petty seems to be doing a lot better than he was a couple of days ago. Still not 100%, but improvement is improvement. Anyway, so this week we are welcoming to the program one Kevin Beimers.
Beimers is correct. Yep.
Okay, of Italic Pig.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah. Hello.
Happy to be here.
It's good to have you. So, how we like to get started here is we like to get to know the people behind the game, the studio, and all that business. And we do that by asking this particular question. What got you interested in video games, both on a personal and a professional level?
Ooh, okay. That's very much an umbrella question, isn't it? Okay, so what got you interesting? What video games are interesting? I know it's a very general answer there, but ever since I was a child, way back in the days before the internet and before being the first kid on the block with a Commodore 64, I liked getting into the back end of how games work. I would have been the kid who took stuff apart or got a look at the code and made tweaks to it and found out how stuff was put together. So, back before BBSs, back before any of that stuff, it's like, well, let's just, find out if we can fix it ourselves. That led to me going to university for computer science, in a general thought of the world's going to run on code one of these days. I'm not sure if it's fun yet, but at the very least, if I know what I'm doing, I'll be able to get a job wherever I like. And then I hopped around quite a bit in animation. I did some writing. I did some travel blogging, things like that. Eventually was working for an animation company in Northern Ireland. I'm Canadian, by the way, just to lay that on the table with the voice confusion. I live in Northern Ireland, been here for 15 years, and I moved here to become part of an animation company. I was the art director on a kids' TV series, and then right around the end of that production, they said, well, maybe we should do a game next because this iPhone thing looks like it's picking up. And because of my background in programming and my interest in that and my enjoyment in animating, I sort of had all the core skills that meant that games was always where I was supposed to be. I just didn't know it until it happened. And that's me in a nutshell.
Okay. And when did the transition take place? As in, when did you, or the studio, shift into video games?
Okay, so yeah, I moved to Northern Ireland 15 years ago to do the animation. While I was with that company, we made our first animation that was it was a grown-up point-and-click adventure. I don't know if you've heard of Hector, Badge of Carnage, but it was picked up by Telltale. We did episodes 2 and 3 with them, and they published all 3. That was just before. That. Yes. Ah, you played that. Wonderful. Yeah, it came out just after Back to the Future and just before Walking Dead.
It's one of Telltale's more, I'd say, forgotten works.
Oh, thank you. No, it's forgotten because it wasn't really Telltale. It was us. It was a company over here. Right. And it was like they were dabbling in third-party games. They had done Monkey Island, and when I say third party, I don't mean like they got a license. Like they did Jurassic Park, and they did all the moved into Minecraft and Arkham, I think. But yeah, we were this weird extra thing that they said, that's a pretty good point and click adventure. That suits what we do. Let's try doing a third party publishing. And then after we came out, Walking Dead came out. And they said, well, I guess we got enough money to do whatever we want after this. We don't need third parties anymore. So we end up in bundles and we end up in the back end of people's Steam catalogs. But I am still damn proud of how Hector turned out. And to be honest, it's the complete polar opposite of what Paleo Pines is. Paleo is 3D and friendly, and everything's adorable and nothing eats you, and it's a bit cheeky from time to time, but it's very much a cozy and wholesome game. And Hector is a 2D grown-up point-and-click adventure starring a vulgar, loudmouth cop who is so lazy that he can't even be bothered to solve the easy cases that have been put in front of him.
Yes, I remember that. Like, now, has your entire, let's say, video game career been at Italic Pig, or have you worked elsewhere?
No, it's all been Italic Pig. It's Hector was done under a different company. It was the company that made the kids animation, and then as that company came to a close, I had a pitch that was floating around for a game called Schrodinger's Cat and the Raiders of the Lost Quark. And that ended up being noticed by somebody who was starting a fund. They funded me to make that game, and I've been sort of working off of that, I guess, reputation and track record ever since. So it's been 10 years at Italic Pig, and each project we've done has been about twice the size of the one before it. So it's things are looking up, but it's all been own IP. I haven't really worked on a lot of other people's games, but I do dip into writing for others when it's an exciting enough or interesting enough project.
So you are allowed to do third-party contracts.
Yeah, but it's not something that we lean on for our for the studio, but it's more like as an opportunity arises. I would say, like most recently, I worked with Revolution Software on Beyond a Steel Sky. It was their reboot of Beneath a Steel Sky, like 25 years on. And Beneath was a game that I played probably when I was 10. And so Beyond was kind of like getting the chance to work on, I don't know, like Star Wars The Force Awakens or something. It was a long-awaited reboot of a title that I remembered fondly, and being on that, I was the lead writer on that game, which was very exciting to be a part of. So yeah, it was a bit of a step out from what we do, and it's not necessarily an Italic Pig. You know, we put it in our portfolio, but we don't necessarily lead with, we are a work for hire studio. We just sort of choose to get involved if something's cool enough to do it.
Makes sense. And it's fortunate that you're in a position where you can pick and choose like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We've just come from I've just come back from Develop, which is a conference in England. It's Brighton. Usually all the London devs head down, a lot of UK devs there. And there's a lot that start their company with work for hire, ferreting away little bits of money until they have enough to take the punt on their own. I was lucky enough with Italic Pig to start with our own game that was, pitched straight ahead. I got to just work on that with a team of, say, 4 or 5 people, and eventually onto, it was published by Team 17, which again was a huge sort of, I played Worms as a kid. And so that was like meeting your heroes. Right. And so that gave a good, like I said, reputation, and that to continue to keep coming up with great ideas and chasing them.
Indeed. And I'm sure we could go through some of the other games that Italic Pig has churned out over the years. But we should probably get to the thing that we're mainly focused on here today, the thing that is on screen, and that is Paleo Pines.
Correct. Yes. Okay, let's do it.
Yeah. Right. So I suppose my first question is, why dino farming?
I think you mean, why not dinosaurs and farming? Sometimes, it's two things added together make for such an easy pitch. It's like these farming. There's a lot of love in people's hearts for farming. There's something about dinosaurs. Most people go through a dinosaur phase between age, let's say, 6 and 10 somewhere. They want to learn all the big words, and they want they're fascinated by these creatures of old, and some people never grow out of it, and some people, like, honestly, our community is there is such a love for dinosaurs, and especially in this case is a game where it's not like Jurassic World, it's not like Ark, nothing is dangerous, nothing eats you. Who it's cuddling T-Rexes instead of running for your life. So carnivore boys, we've got the tiny little guys like the oviraptors and the microraptors, and it's not that intense run for your life drama that dinosaurs have been painted with forever. I mean, even the name dinosaurs, the translation of the word terrible, so this is about, can't we just be friends? And that's within the audience and within the studio, and we've done everything we can to make them squishy and cute and friendly. They are your pals. They are your adventure buddies, and they help you out on the farm. The crossover, the farming is a passive, non-violent, non-conflict. It's a you watch things grow and you harvest them and you bring them into town and you help the community. But you've got dinosaurs who are helping you because they want to be friends and they want to be helpful.
Right. But I suppose further elaboration, why farming instead of, like, say, a petting zoo?
You know what? We went through a few different iterations back at the beginning. It was there was for a time where we were talking about, like, well, the dinosaur lays eggs and then you bring those eggs to a dealer, that sort of a thing, and that all felt like we were trading in it's like dino trafficking in some way. It didn't feel right. The farm activity, I think it comes from partly the culture. I mean, it's the style of game that you'd expect an element of farming within. Opportunity to do something that is useful, but also, low impact as a team. There are really three pillars of the game. Farming is one of them, dinosaurs the second, obviously, and the exploration, running around outside of the farm. There's sort of a few different, wouldn't call them game modes, but definitely areas that you should play. Look, bottom line is, why farming and not something else? It really is, why not farming? It just feels right, and the color and the I guess the sense of satisfaction.
Okay. I just feel obligated to ask because, this is a very unlikely combination of beasts of burden, activities, let's say. But
I get you.
But if nothing else, that certainly gives it character.
Yeah. There are other friendly dinosaur games out there. There's also games out there. There's a whole lot more of those. But when you say, like, beasts of burden, it's we're very careful in the language of the game to ensure that this is a mutually beneficial relationship. They're kind of pets, and they're not work animals. They don't belong to you. We don't and bait them, and they're not under any duress. There's like subtleties in this, so that there's no locks on any of the pens. They enjoy a pen because it's their personal space, but the doors are open and they frequently run around the farm on their own and then come back into their and if you don't treat them well, you wake up the next morning and they've gone back to the forest. So it's like I said, it's befriending, not owning, and it's they're not your property; they are your companions.
Pokemon game, then,
a little bit. Yeah. I mean, but the funny subside of Pokemon that's always kind of hit me the wrong way is that you keep them in a box or you keep them in storage and then you bring them out to fight other people. Whereas this, they're quite happy to run free range, let's say.
I mean, how else are they going to sell Pokeballs to you in real life?
Mm. Yeah. Not me, anyway.
Looks like it's back up.
Are we?
Oh, not for me. Let me hit.
We have
Yeah,
connection again.
Yeah, it looks like
Yeah.
it's back.
All right.
Hey.
Apologies for that. Sometimes the stream connections get wonky and decide to not work.
Twitch doesn't like morning shows, apparently.
I guess
mean,
not.
mood, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's also like we record this live on Twitch, so that will be reflected in the recording.
yeah.
Sometimes in multiple parts.
Uh,
Anyway, getting back to what we were talking about, you were talking about the friendship dynamic between farmer and dinosaur.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not sure how much everybody caught there, but the short of it is that all of the language within the game and all the relationship within the game between human and dinosaur is very much a coexistence as opposed to a hierarchy. You don't own the dinosaur. You befriend them, and they're not your property. They are your friend. They are companion. They don't work for you. They help you out. And when it comes to you have to build up a level of trust with them before they will allow you to put a saddle on them and join you on an adventure. They don't just go out there with anybody. So all of that sort of feeds back into it. It's a general world building, let's call it philosophy, that it's a world where kindness is the norm as opposed to mistrust. So the dinosaurs are kind to each other. The people are kind to each other. It's very friendly and inclusive community, human to human, human to dinosaur, dino to dino. And I guess, yeah, what's the best way of putting it? Survival of the kindest is kind of the way we put it. It's almost like a deep-seated, there are no bandits. Nobody's going to rip you off at the market. There's none of that sort of, if anything goes wrong, it's mischief or it's, bad luck. Mischief is probably the worst that could happen, but most of the time it's like, oh, something happened and it's unfortunate. And people occasionally don't get along. That's personality clashes, but that's certainly no malice and there's no injustice. And so it is very much an escapist world that we've created, and it's good to get out of the real one sometimes and into something like this.
No doubt, no doubt. And how is that dynamic elaborated on in the game? As in, how do you befriend a dino? How do you maintain a relationship with dinos and that sort of thing?
Okay, I'm not sure how public's not the word, how open book we are on how things work behind the scenes. But if you consider your average dinosaur, the taming and the befriending process is a combination of playing a flute that you have. You mimic their call with a flute, almost in a Mask of Majora sort of way, but there's we've gone a little different with it. There's different lengths of notes, and you learn their friend calls by watching them. You draw their attention over to you. If they're interested in what you're saying, then they will stick around for a little while. And then there's a treat. All dinosaurs have a particular flavor that they're keen on. The general dinosaur, like let's say an Allosaurus, I'm going to get this wrong. Don't quote me on this, but let's say the Allosaurus only likes their favorite thing is crunchy foods, and their least favorite thing is earthy or fragrant. So if you offer them something crunchy like a carrot, they will approach. But if you offer them something earthy like a mushroom, they'll sort of shake their heads and walk away. So it's about knowing and observing the dinosaur, then learning the sounds that they like, learning the foods that they like, and if you can close the deal, so to say, they'll follow you home. Now, upon following you home, you need to provide them with their own comfort, or else they're like, well, why would I stick around here? And the comfort is knowing if they appreciate herds or being solo, being in a pen with a group or being in a pen by themselves. What dinos, if they do like others, what dinos do they enjoy being in a pen with, whether it's more of themselves or others from their own biome. You can decorate the pens with their biomes. There's forest and there's desert. There's a valley. So all of this, so part one is the befriending and bringing home. Part two is sort of the nurturing up to the point of trust. And the nurture sort of has a sliding scale as well. Things like not feeding my dinosaur is a major negative if you don't do it, and it's a minor positive if you do, because it's a basic right. But spending extra time and treats and coming by and playing their song or coming by and petting them on the nose, will have spikes in trust. They know you want to spend time with them and spend time more. And then there's sort of this third tier, which you can say is playtime or trust. It's a helpful state where they will follow you. They will help you on the farm. They will let you put a saddle on. And even then, it's a case of the more you adventure with them or the more you work with them, that bond becomes even tighter. It's like taking your dog for a walk every day. Like, you can have a dog and you can feed a dog and do nothing with the dog, and you've got this animal that's kind of like, well, I guess I'll stay until something better comes along. But if you play with it and enjoy their company and give it treats and take it to the park and meet other dogs, then that dog becomes more bonded to you. And so same goes across the board with the dinos. We've tried, it's systematic, but the systematic on a sliding scale as opposed to a simple case of 10 treats equals a level 2 friend, that kind of thing.
Okay. And what do the dinos do for their human friend in exchange for all of this love and attention?
The dinos each have some kind of a skill. Most have 2 skills, like a farm skill and an adventure skill, right? So your farm skill, it might be take a triceratops. If you know what those look like, they're the ones with the great big head plate and the 3 horns. Those are fast plowers, fast tillers. So an area of land that you would go at with a hoe and go snap, 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 and it would take you some time and you'd run out of breath. You get yourself a triceratops and they say, well, I can do that. Where do you want it? And they'll plow a furrow, 10 long in a couple of seconds. And so it speeds up the process with plowing, watering, harvesting. Sometimes it's, say, the clearing of debris, if you want to just clear your farm out, or slashing of overgrown vines. Some have the claws, or some have a big, spikes on the tail like a stegosaurus. So those would be your in-farm skills. And then when it comes to adventuring, it's things, well, the slashing of vines is another good one, stomping of logs, smashing of stones. So again, take the triceratops, you go out and there's an area that's been blocked by boulders, and these big fellas with their big, horned heads and head plates can give that a wallop, and now you've got access to a new area. So it's part progression and part convenience, let's say.
Okay. And flipping the coin a bit to the farming side of things, is growing crops all the all there is to the farming aspect, or are there, let's say, more animalistic things as well? Milking and meat.
No, we specifically, everything here is there's no meat in the game. There's the meat sort of comes about. We sidestep it. Let's say there's a fellow in town who you were just talking to. I saw on the feed there. His name's Corlin, and he provides you with herbivore kibble and carnivore kibble. I call it kibble. I'm not sure what it's like herbo food, I think, is the name in the game. But in terms of, you're not running a running dinosaur milk or trading eggs or using the dinosaur 1 to feed dinosaur 2, as you might do in a game like in a Jurassic World, for example. No, in ours, it is the growing. It's the refinement of the area. So it's cleanup. It's the location of resources and the using of these resources to build, let's say, furniture and enhancements of your ranch. Beyond that, there are also things like resource projects that aid the community. Somewhere out in the wilds, there is an old grain mill, for example, and the mill hasn't been used in years. And if you were to get it up and running again, then it helps the community, and you end up getting free wheat from that point onward, or at least you have to bring the supplies and it threshes it for you. So it's very much built on the crops and community enhancement side of things. I suppose it's worth also mentioning that time period wise, we're vague about it. It's an alternate history, alternate timeline. Obviously, we got humans and dinosaurs together, but there are no other mammals. There are no other animals. There are no birds, cats, dogs, cows, horses, anything like that. It's just you and these big fellas. And so in this community, it's sort of like, let's say, pioneer days. That's the best vague time period we can give it. It's a bunch of people who live in an area that have enough and share with one another. So you've got your general store, you've got your woodworker, his name's Marlowe, you've got Granny, who's sort of your farming and seeds what do we call her? She's the master of that sort of domain. You've got Pippin. They're a baker. They provide sort of you call it luxury goods, but the food that they make is more suited for dino treats than the humans don't necessarily like them as much as the dinos do. And so there's a quirky community and a need for sort of sharing and let's call it, it's dare I say, socialist. Everybody has enough to get by, and everyone is fine trading with everyone else. It's not a tycoon game. It's not something where you're trying to max out your farm with automation and then find managers and people like that. It's laid back play. It's do it at the pace you want to do it. We can't stop you from stockpiling carrots and then buying 10,000 or selling 10,000 of them at once. But although, actually, funny that I bring that up, because each of the people, nobody's a Walmart, nobody's a bank. So you may bring 10,000 carrots to the market, but your carrot merchant's going to go like, dude, I can only buy 50 today. I can't sell more than that. So it's very much community oriented, and everybody's got their own lives in that space. My goodness, I think I've answered like 3 or 4 questions, and I forget the original.
That does cover a wide span here, and that does answer a few questions I was lining up, because in a lot of farming games, even ones with this kind of aesthetic, there is still a goal, like Harvest Moon comes to mind. Even though that's purported to be a very casual farming simulator, let's say, as opposed to, farming simulator, which is much more in depth. there's still a goal there. There's still you've got to grow enough vegetables to make this amount of money so you can save your farm. And it sounds like there's none of that in this game.
Well, if I can take Animal Crossing as an example, a lot of people look at Animal Crossing as a laid-back, cozy, wholesome, friendly game. And the one thing that always gets me about it is the first thing you do is get a mortgage, and you owe $30 million to the bank or whatever the initial cost of your initial piece of land is, and the idea is you want to pay that off. So that's a goal, but it feels like a weird, like real worldly thing that gets dropped into what should be an escapist genre. So if you need it, it's there. In our case, I would say your first goal that is dropped upon you is a narrative one. And that is that because we know that the core of why people are here, they want to meet dinosaurs and they want to interact with dinosaurs and play with dinosaurs. So the farming is, I'll call it, I don't mind calling it a close second. And even the adventure part of it. I mean, the adventure is partly linked into it because the further you go, the more dinosaurs you find. So on day one, you're visited by Owen and Mari, two regulars in the town. Both of them are dinosaur researchers, but one is very hands-on and active. That's Mari. She's wearing the Indiana Jones hat, and she's on a very formidable Utah Raptor, and she is a do first, think later type. Like she'll jump in with both feet and hope it all works out. Owen is very much an indoor kid. He will he does a lot of writing. He does a lot of research. He'll spend 3 hours making breakfast until it's lunch, and so the two of them are necessary to form the whole picture of one researcher, but both of them are fascinated by the same stuff. So you come in with your Parasaurolophus, and they go, wow, I saw tracks, I followed them here. We have not seen one of your dinosaurs in this area forever. I've never seen one. Maybe Granny has, and she's been here the longest. But I hope you didn't come here looking for them. And of course, you did. That's part of the intro sequence. Is it looked like you were promised that Lucky would meet more of her family somewhere in the area, and that becomes sort of a the back burner goal throughout the entirety of the game. Can we find more Luckies in the area? So, on top of then Granny teaches you farming, and then the community teaches you about buying and selling. Areas open up, and there's a intermediate and long-term paths. So we've seen people play the demo, and what we've seen is it's doing exactly what we hoped it would, which was if you love dinosaurs, we've got those. Focus on them and don't even bother with, do a little enough to open the doors, like you need a certain type of food that will attract a certain type of dinosaur. So the farming is necessary and tied into the dinos. You need a certain type of dino to get into different areas, and that available for your crops. And sometimes you need to help a community member to get a clue of how to get a new crop. So the interwoven farming, dinosaur collection, and general community narrative. They all lean on one another, but none of them is a blocker is a hard blocker for the other two. There's, you probably only need to 30% of the narrative quests of your community cohorts in order to see more of the game. But there's way more than that if that's your thing. So that's what we've seen from the demo is everybody plays that's my thing, and you can get lost in that's my thing. We've seen dinosaurs and their entire ranch covered in farm, and we've seen other people with virtually no farm and tons of dinosaurs. we've seen people unlock parts of the demo that we didn't think people would be able to get to because they played it once and go, all right, there's a 2-week limit on this. How can I speed run it? And we've sort of said, geez, they're hitting this at a ridiculous pace. So yeah, it is all things to all people, and we're really pleased to see those pieces come together like that.
And was such a sandbox approach planned from the beginning, or is that something that just happened with the design?
No, it was planned from the beginning. We wanted it wasn't such deep sandbox. Like, this isn't open world. There's definitely things you must do, but it's as open as a team of our size is capable of making it feel. We're Italic Pig. The height of this game, we had 25 people working on it. We're probably at about 18 right now as we're coming toward the end of production. There's, we're doing that bit where we can do no more art and no more animation other than tweaks and bugs. So we're in a good state. The production went very smoothly. The planning was impeccable. And what's come out the other end of what you're playing is, the open world as we can provide while still giving you goals if you get lost or feel like.
And how long has the game been in development for?
We started this in the September before lockdown. And we through to this side. So it's been an excellent anchor for the studio to have that project carry us through COVID and all the changes that we had to go through. We went from an office to remote. We started hiring from here, there, and everywhere. It used to demand that everybody live in the area, but now it's the work from home is made things so much simpler to get the talent we needed instead of the talent that was available. And also that influence from outside being able to percolate throughout the company. Bringing people in from outside with experience allows us to have seniors and juniors and trainees learn tricks that they may not have picked up in, like, fresh out of university. This is it's been a 4-year project, and certainly not without its roller coasters of interesting and emotional ups and downs. But I'm so pleased with where we've reached, and the final product is really sometimes you get to the end of something and go, oh, it should have been more. But this whole studio is really proud of where we've ended up. It's a fine representation of where this began. We got to a good place.
Well, I mean, that's good to hear. That there's no major regrets, given that, this is nearing the end of its cycle. As I believe this game is coming out in September.
That's correct. Yeah, we've announced September 26th. Across all platforms. When I say all, I mean Steam, PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch.
Okay. Before diving into that a bit more, I do want to ask about the character creation process, because, like, my colleague here has selected, virtual him.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, how in depth can you go in terms of customizing an avatar?
I guess, I mean, there's a bunch of shirts, there's a bunch of trousers, there's a bunch of hairstyles, there's hair colors. I think the thing that I can say that we're most with our customization is the attempt to cast as wide a net as possible. I think we have, I want to say there's at least 16 different skin tones. The same again for hair color. Same again, like hairstyles. Can you pop into the character creation? Now you have to go back to the beginning of the stream in order to see what was going on there. But you're presented with a default character, which is just but there is no. We've done our best to at least in English. there's no mention of genders of the player character. So there's no default. There's no choice at the beginning of pronouns, because if it's the dialogue doesn't call for it. It's been interesting in other countries because like they've had to restructure certain senses to avoid such things. But yeah, just to pick a stereotype, there's no reason why you can't have the outfit like a masculine outfit on a feminine character, or a feminine outfit on a masculine character, or whatever it is you happen to be looking for, and represent yourself. We've done our best to say, go for it. Put on everything, or put on a few things, mix and match as you see fit, and hair, skin, anything like that. It's as inclusive as we could make it with the budget that we had.
Okay. And are there any romancing options in this game?
No, if you're looking for like, can your character date people within the game? I know that's a commonality across a lot of this genre. But we decided early on we weren't going to focus on romance. Going to focus on the you're the, in a way, you're the agent of change throughout this place. I think it's been what it was for a very long time. You sort of show up their own. Everything you do upon interacting with each of the NPC creates a positive change in their lives. And that change might be bringing a relationship together between two other NPCs. It might be, say, getting over to like an embarrassment or an anxiety, or something was, a secret was discovered that they won't reveal to everyone yet. One of our characters is very much a freewheeling, fly-by-night, anything goes kind of a character, and we have others that are loners. They do their job and they kind of keep to themselves. And so what you're doing is kind of working your way through the narrative that has been created. There's it's worth mentioning on your question of romance specifically, to have romance in a game, it's very easy to peel back choice that is usually presented to you. And one thing that we said from the very beginning is that we did not want to have system-driven characters. I mean, you play something like Stardew Valley, and you give me enough gifts, and then we go up a star, and then our friendship level rises. And it's very much a case of keep giving me carrots until friendship falls out, or something like that. And we didn't want to do that with our people. It's okay to have a crop that runs on a system. It's okay to have an animal, a dinosaur that runs on a system. But we didn't want our people to be that they ran on systems. So we made the choice to make it a fairly linear chain of events for each character, and interwoven between those characters, they have more complex adult human problems, more so than I wish somebody would give me a pie and then I would be their friend. And yeah, so that's the answer as to why we didn't go romance, was because it became too much of a give me gifts until love falls out.
Fair enough, I suppose. I'm sure that could have been done narratively, but it clearly wasn't a focus of the narrative, given that this is all about the relationship between dinosaurs and humans, with you as the centerpiece.
Yeah, it's less about finding a husband, love, that kind of a thing, and more about finding friendships and companions. So you end up befriending the whole town, but some of those town people befriend each other a little more because of you to each other. And yes, you're out to befriend these dinosaurs and be the best you can be.
Right. In terms of the dinosaurs, I should first ask, how many dinos from what periods do from? Like, do you have Jurassic, Cretaceous dinos, and how accurate? That is to say, like, if you've got velociraptors here, do they have feathers, for example?
Oh yeah, I'm glad you asked. This is a core of the game itself. Is that we've had the creator of the game was very much a paleo artist and a lifelong dinosaur enthusiast / lover of dinosaurs. We've had a PhD who has been with us throughout the entire project to ensure that, upon putting out a game like this, I have to maybe stumbled across something like Disney's Dino Ranch, which has your top 5 heavy hitters. It's got a T-Rex and a Stegosaurus and the ones that most people can name, and
Right.
it's about the cuteness and that kind of a thing. On our side, we said, all right, they got to be cute and they need to be colorful, but yes, they have feathers. Yes, correct number of toes. They have the joints where they're supposed to be. They move in a particular class. They live in an area that they would have lived in, in times. We're not too picky about, there's nothing in the game that says dinosaur lived during the X period and went extinct 150 million years ago, because they didn't go extinct. We're in an alternate Earth. So our nod to the I guess time periods. We have 3 seasons in the game. Our spring, summer, and are called Triasia, Jurassos, and Cretumnus. And so people will, and it's got, different dinosaurs come out at different things, but it's more about the weather and more about the region, and the change of seasons, and the mix of dinosaurs. There's enough in them that someone who knows their onions can look at our dino. They did that right. So those are the sorts of the size, the shape, number of toes, number of horns, how they move, and whether or not they be herd animals or what they might eat at the time. All of that is factored in to what these are. We didn't just pull up Wikipedia top 50 favorites off of a BuzzFeed article or anything.
Okay. And does this game, how do I put this? Say gray market dinosaurs, that pterodactyls, plesiosaurs, dimetrodons, and the like.
There's a few on the edge. I know that if them, I probably get them wrong, but yeah, we've had a few people in the Twitter, responding on, oh, check out these dinosaurs, and somebody says, well, actually, that one's not but no, it's they're all, let's say, the dinosaurs that we have in game. There is, let's say, ballpark 35. I don't have the exact number, but it's, let's say, I think 8 different families. And so the family, larger, smaller, more horns, less horns. For example, the Triceratops has also has a Styracosaurus, and there's also a Protoceratops, who's a tiny little fella. You can they're either big enough to ride, too small, and they can come along as a companion. And even the companions, the small dinosaurs, have special skills. They sniff out collectibles. They draw your attention. Something hidden under a bush. So they do have their value, and they come along with you. And on the farm themselves, they're harvesters. You can put down a basket or a bucket, and they will run to the field and put them into the bucket for you, sort of one at a time. And it's a haphazard, helpful thing that a small thing can do. So yeah, we've got, like I said, accurate with the dinosaurs. We have picked all the favorites and a few of the sort of secondary, sort of real fan favorites, and and a few outliers. So it's a mix and match.
Okay.
I hope you'll be pleased.
I'm sure people will be. It sounds like they are for the most part. Like, anyway, in terms of the farming here, does this operate on a true day-night cycle time thing, or is that more aesthetics?
How do you mean true?
As in, does time actually pass,
Oh,
or is
yes.
that just because sometimes the day-night cycle goes and it'll affect things. Sometimes it's just, oh hey, it's night now, and isn't that neat?
Yeah. No, I get you. No, it's a full sweep day-night cycle. If I am correct, don't quote me on this, but I believe minutes is 12 hours. So it's sort of a double the length of a Minecraft day, if you want to look at it that way. There is a period which you must sleep, so you cannot stay out all night. You need your stamina and your energy. So do the dinosaurs. So if you happen to be out and it gets to midnight or moving towards 2 a.m., you'll get a warning, and I'll say it's almost bedtime. It will fade, and you will wake up on the farm at 6 a.m. again. So it's So let's say you always get 6 hours sleep. You can have more if you wanted as soon as the sun goes down. In terms of the farm, yes, things update every morning. That's the best way of putting it. It's not like it's not like Farmville where wheat. That's 5 real-time minutes. It's more a case of you plant something today and it has a growth from seed to sprout, might be 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 days, and then from sprout to near ready, like not quite fruiting but grown, and that might be another through 4 days, and then ready for harvest, and then it stays harvest ready. Oh, we lost somebody. That's okay. It stays harvest ready for a couple of days, and if you don't harvest it, then it turns into unusable. Just turns into muck. So the farming is daily, and the reason for that is you water them once, it's yours, or you harvest, and the rest of the day is yours. We wanted to make sure we had enough time for you to do your chores, and then go out and have some fun.
Okay. That does make sense. Anyway, we are getting short on time here, so I'll wrap up by asking a few here.
Mhm.
And first of which is, now you mentioned that this game is coming out on all the major platforms. This is in regard to the Nintendo Switch version. Will it run in parity with the versions?
I'm going to sort of withhold comment on that. We're in the middle of the porting process right now. What I can say is we care about the game, and we know that there is a massive Switch following. In fact, I think we've predicted that we're more likely to see people, a higher audience on Switch than on any other platform. And so it is, at the same time, the Switch is also the most difficult platform to get anything on. So yeah, Steam, Xbox, PlayStation are all doing just fine on the porting side, and we are doing our best with the Switch, working with our publisher, working with some third-party experts to ensure that the Switch experience is comparable. Like we will try for identical is impossible, but comparable and smooth is what we're going for on the Switch in a game of this size. So that's the best promise I can give at this time, only because we are in the thick of it. I don't want to promise too much, but it will be. We don't want to release it if it doesn't feel right. Let's put it that way.
I understand. That does make sense given the processes and all that. Anyway, pricing. Has pricing been figured out yet?
It has. I think it's been announced. I think pre-sales are available in some places. I don't have that information in front of me, and that's been taken care of on the marketing and communication side of things. So yes, best I can do is get back to you, but that's kind of too late for that. So, sorry, that's you're gonna have to just look for more information on that one as we get closer to launch.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And yeah, I think I've run through my gamut of questions. I'll see if my colleague here has anything further.
I think I'm good.
All right. And Gollix had to drop out for work as we run past the hour mark, or we're about the hour mark.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule, Kevin, and being with us here today to talk very in depth about Paleo Pines.
Oh, thanks very much for having me along. It's good. I've been at this, like I said, I've been at this conference down in South in the UK, talking about it a lot over there. So getting the word out even further to your audience. Every little bit helps. You know, we're an indie team. It's a big game, but we're a tiny team. So anybody who hears about it, tell your friends. And if dinosaurs are your thing, we got some. Come on in here.
That is the aim. Right. So yeah, the game is Paleo Pines. It's currently being planned for September 26th on all the major platforms. In terms of PC, is it coming out to Steam or is it heading to Epic and GOG as well?
Starting with Steam, I can't commit to any of the other two. So let's just call it Steam for now.
Okay.
Yep.
And